Yo yo yo, what up dogs? Chris checking in with you today from the Unrelenting Brush. Here's another Patreon exclusive tutorial covering how to paint a Vespid like the humble British summer wasp using techniques and paints that'll get it done in no time whatsoever. The palette is limited to keep the paint scheme quick and cheap, and it's also done to be able to be sure to whack these guys out in an afternoon if you wanted to do all 10 at once. The white and black's a really nice clash against the white weapons. That's not right. The blue and yellow is a great clash against the white weapons and faceplate. It ties in nice with the urban rubble base and alongside the Hivestorm box terrain, how I painted you see in the background. This box was kindly supplied by Games Workshop. Thank you very much for those guys. They sent it us to paint up as previews. Sadly, I was a little bit ill last week, so I couldn't get this stuff all done and out in time, but here we are now, ready to rock. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's find out how I painted this boy in about 20 minutes. So we start off as we always do with a black prime and a white zenithal using Colourforge matte black and matte white. You can see we've got those lovely shadows on the underside, helping us to be able to paint these guys using speed paints and contrast. Nice, quick and easy. So the first one we're going to do is probably no surprise, it's going to be a yellow. We're using Zealot Yellow from Speed Paint Army Painter Speed Paints. Go in and fill all the bits in. Right, so I immediately got it all over his white faceplate. I shouldn't have done that. I'm still not 100%, but we're going to tidy that up later on. If you can keep this off the white, fantastic. Maybe keep the head off when you assemble him, just to make your life that little bit easier. This guy was built by my brother while I was poorly, so I will make do with the errors I sustain. So we're going to apply this all over his skin. We're going to try and keep it off the wings and off the white as best we can. I'm using quite a big messy brush for this. But as long as we get all this yellow on all the kind of chitin and the skin of him, this will do most of the work for us. I started painting his mandibles and his little antennae thing with the same colour because I hadn't decided what I was going to do with those yet. I had a picture of a wasp from Google up next to me for reference, so I could go in and check with that and use that to inspire my painting. If you wanted to use a contrast paint, you could use Imperial Fist Yellow for a colder yellow. You could use a Yandon for a nice warmer yellow. I'd probably be tempted to go Yandon myself. Ultimately, whichever colour it is up to you. I'm going to carefully paint the ends of his wing membranes as well. I'll go in and tidy up any bits that need doing off film. Coal Black from Proacryl. We're going to use these to paint our black stripes. Now again, I used inspiration from a picture of a wasp on the internet, so I'm just going to do these in little segments across the different kind of chitinous plates on his thorax, I suppose it would be. They don't have to be completely symmetrical to the point of kind of being identical. Just be ensure to try and keep them varied and spread out. You want them to be naturally inconsistent or inconsistently natural. Something like that's great, so I'll flip the model on the other side and do it the same over there. I debated doing the legs and arms in black like a wasps are, but I thought that would be a little bit too much black. I want to keep the yellow nice and striking. I want it to be really nice and easily recognisable on the battlefield, so I decided to make yellow the main colour. So being careful not to get this on the wings, I'll just apply these little black stripes on the other side of his thorax, on his little shoulder plates he's got as well, and then I do eventually go on to decide I'll paint his mandibles and his antennae to be black as well, because that's how wasps are. I did debate for a little while if I wanted to do this red and black for a nice, really kind of sci-fi-esque insect look, but everybody hates wasps, they're little fuckers, and I wanted to paint a Vespid to be like a wasp so that we could swat to these bad boys who suck off the Tau teat against noble Empyrean virtues. So I'm going to do little triangle patterns on his shoulder pad, so you'll see I'll do a stripe, I'll then do a line from the centre of the stripe and join those along the edges to form a nice, again, naturally recognisable without being kind of unnatural in its symmetry. Just have some really nice striking patterns on there. If you do mess up on the yellow, you can just go back in with any yellow paint or maybe white and yellow contrast over it. But here you see I'm painting the antennas. I do go back and paint the claws and the stinger for him as well to be black. Battleship Grey from Speed Paint from Army Painter. This is for the wing membrane, so we're just going to apply this fairly liberally. We'll try and keep it off the yellow, but it goes on there. It's not a problem. It's not going to cover it too much. We can highlight back over our mistakes later to rectify it. It's a really, really nice paint. It's really nice and soft and semi-vibrant and translucent, so this is perfect for kind of shimmery wing membranes that you want them to be. Again, do your best to keep this off the yellow. If you do get it on there, don't stress. Don't forget the underside of the wings. Our Zenithal is going to help us have a really nice transition of a bright, vibrant wing colour to a nice dark shaded wing colour. Up next, Bold Titanium White. We're going to use this to try and tidy up the ball's ache I did on his faceplate and on his gun. So thin this down with a bit of water, do a couple of layers. It should cover that yellow nicely. You could go in with like an Ulthuan Grey or something like that and build it back up. But I really like Bold Titanium White. It's great for what I need it to do. So I'll apply this on all the white Tau armour that needs to be, that I've stupidly and clumsily got yellow on. But hey, it's painting, we'll be fine. We're jumping back to Coal Black now. I'm going to do these for the black parts of the armour and the faceplate and the weapons. You could use a speed paint or a contrast here, something like Black Legion or Grim Black, Grim Noir, whatever the speed paint version is. But I still had Coal Black on my palette, so I decided to go in with this. And again, I think it was at this point I decided to paint the claws and the mandibles and the stinger and stuff like that. Try and keep it off the white, try and keep it off the yellow, but you can always tidy up if you need to. Up next, we've got Gravelord Grey. This is a lovely paint, I adore it. There's a few little bits on the gun that are grey instead of white or black, so we're just going to use these to paint those panels gently. The speed paints do run, they are very, very thin, they have a lot of detergent and flow in them, so try and be as careful as you can. If you want to use a standard acrylic, something like Dawnstone would be perfect. Whatever colour you want to use, whatever you're more comfortable with. Up next is Plasmatic Bolt, another speed paint, which we're going to use to paint the crystal on his weapon. And then we're going to go to Brown Wash to do some recess shading on those white bits that we painted. So where the recess details are in his face, any kind of panel lines on the gun and faceplates to do the best you can with. If you go a little bit overboard, again, you should just still have some Bold Titanium White on your palette. You can just go in and tidy up with as you need to. There we go, that's most of the white done. We're going to come back and do a little bit of sponge weathering on that later because we can't highlight white, and why should you bother? Light Bronze from Procreate, one of my all-time favourites. Those little gold spherical nodule thingies on all our weapons. We're just going to paint with this. Don't forget the one on the inside of the weapon as well. I do bloody love this colour. Neutral Grey Pro Acryl. We're going to use this to do some little cheeky highlights on the black details on the weapons. And if you've got any on the faceplate, do that as well. We're going to use a different highlight for the Vespid's black components because we want to keep them looking different. Using two different colours, separating warm from cold, natural from unnatural, artificial to organic, means we get that nice differentiation of textures. So that's why we're going to do neutral grey on all these bits. And the next paint we're going to do on the Vespid bits is dark grey blue from Pro Acryl. So we're just going to do some really nice little edge highlights on all the black components, his antenna, his mandibles, his claws. And again, it just gives us that little point of highlight, that little point of interest, while also being different from the grey we've used on the gun, which means the two blacks look different alongside each other. Differentiating textures in a really nice, easy way while keeping the model striking and doing it so it's dead easy to do. There we go. We're looking just about there with this buzzy boy. Frost Art Contrast, another one I use very, very regularly. We're going to use this to paint the lenses of his face. If they've still got a wash on them, you can go back in and tidy them up with some of the white. Any bright colour will do, and then you just drop any contrast or speed paint of your choice. I like Frost Art, it's a nice luminous blue, which I think is good for the Tau. Dark Umber Pro Acryl, we're going to sponge this onto the armour panels to give it a little bit more wear and tear. And again, it separates from artificial, refined, made materials that have taken weather and been damaged in battle to the organic, chitinous, membrane, exoskeleton way of the Vespid. It's very, very easy to make textures look different alongside each other. Slapping a base paint and a shade and maybe a highlight on there isn't always the best way to do it. It looks nice, but there's a lot easier ways and a lot more interesting ways to differentiate textures. So because we're doing this on the armour and the gun, it immediately separates it as a different material from the body of the Vespid. Again, just being really, really subtle. We don't want to overdo this. We don't want to lose any white and turn it to a dingy brown. We just want to have this chipping on the very edges to help us simulate battle damage. Now, evidently, I have my phone on the wrong orientation here, but we'll cope. And there we go. There is our Vespid all done, our buzzy, waspy boy. Hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed painting this Vespid very, very much. I could probably do a whole kill team in an afternoon. If you found this helpful, like, comment, stupid, cringy nonsense. If you decide to paint your Vespids in a similar scheme or even a completely different scheme, I'd love to see it. If you're watching this video on our Patreon, then you understand that you get access to our hobby community Discord. In there we have a hobby clinic where there's a lot of kill team going on at the minute. Come in, show what you're working on, ask for advice, share your tips and knowledge. It's a wonderful community all around positive, enthusiastic painters who love nothing more than showing their bits and asking people to show theirs, sharing advice and having a great time while doing it. Your support means the world to me. This Patreon is very, very slowly growing in numbers and helping me do what I need to do. The more people that subscribe, the more funding I get from it, the more videos I can do, the better quality they are, the better equipment I can buy, and the more time I can dedicate to it. So, thank you very much. Don't forget to ask your friends to join. Keep kicking ass. Peace!